It's not what I want. I just want to do what I love doing. Go with the flow. Don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze it. For somebody who's a strategic planner, don't overplan it. And at some point, it was actually my business mentor challenged me. Is that actually what you want? I'm like, actually, no, I don't. It's not what I want. I just want to do what I love doing for me. And
made another mistake in your business? It won't be the first, it won't be the last, and you're definitely not alone. I'm Gemma Edwards, and you're listening to Chalk It Up, the podcast where we get to talk about the gift of making mistakes when we're running businesses. You'll be hearing from me and other business owners as we share our journey on the things that go wrong so we can normalise it, learn from it, and do the next right thing to move forward. Today, I'm joined by Brenda Etchells, business mentor and head of learning and development at the Association of Business Mentors. So let's dive in and chalk it up to experience together. Hi Brenda, thank you
Gemma.
so much for joining me today. Brenda Etchells,
Yes.
business mentor. Tell us a little bit more about you and your business.
yeah, thanks Gemma. Thanks for having me. So I'm Brenda Etchells. I am business mentor. What does that mean? That means I help small business, well, predominantly small, medium-sized businesses, business owners, senior executives in those businesses, help them to grow their business. So whatever support they need from me to help them make their business a success. So supporting them, their behaviours, their emotions as they try to run a business, but also supporting the actual business growth as well and helping them develop strategies and plans and actions to move the business forward, holding them accountable, challenging them, being their sounding board, whatever support they need, almost like a kind of pseudo business partner, I guess.
Challenge and accountability, something we all need when
Yes.
we're in a business. How did you get here? What's the story?
Yeah, so 30 years in the corporate world, in financial services, doing a whole host of different disciplines, marketing, product development, finance, research, but predominantly in a strategic planning role. So sort of strategy and planning is my main area of expertise. Then, like many people in financial services, got made redundant, or at least got the offer to take redundancy. And I thought, well, I kind of know I'm good at what I do. I thought, why don't I take that skill and help others? I thought there was probably a gap in the market for SMEs or small corporates where I think strategy could be quite a scary word for small businesses, and I just wanted to make it really simple and easy for people just to have a plan, basically, of what they want to achieve. So set up what I thought was a strategy consultancy business. Very naively thought the business would come piling in because people know me, they know I'm good at what I do, so what's the problem? And then very quickly realised you've got to work bloody hard at doing it. It doesn't just fall in your lap. So set up my strategy consultancy business, just about to take off when COVID hit. So it kind of at that point evolved into people I was networking with, just one-on-one over Zoom, just helping them, supporting them in a very kind of low-key way. And then I kind of realised the bit that I liked about what I did was the talking to people and not the writing their strategy or their business plan for them. It was the person element of it. So I kind of quickly realised what I was doing was actually business mentoring. So then kind of consolidated that by doing my qualification, my level 7 in business mentoring, joining the Association of Business Mentors, and really just focusing in on that's what I love doing.
I love hearing the stories of evolution of businesses. Because then so many people end up in a place where they didn't quite think it was where they were going to be.
No,
You think that you're going to do the thing, don't you? And you leave and you set the business up, and then a couple of years down the line, you're like, oh,
yeah,
I almost don't know how I got here. This has just happened.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to have a strategy consultancy business. I was going to have associates. I was going to have an office with the branding on the wall. That was my vision.
Yeah.
And I was going to have, like, my husband worked for me, my son, and it was all going to be this big consultancy business. Then at some point, it was actually my business mentor challenged me and said, is that actually what you want? I'm like, actually, no, I don't. It's not what I want. I just want to do what I love doing for me. But it kind of felt at the time you almost had to have these big ambitions and these big growth plans because that was what was expected of you.
Yeah.
And it was almost by saying, oh no, I'm quite happy just being me and doing my thing, felt people not look down on you, but yeah.
Do you think that was influenced from being in a very corporate environment as well?
Absolutely, yeah. And it took me a long time to shake off that corporate monkey on my shoulder. Yeah. I'd say it took it to 2-3 years to not think like that, and especially walking away from a decent salary, and suddenly you're like, am I making money this month? And it was just, and it's like job adverts, do I go back into the corporate world because that's easier? And yeah.
And you know, like you, I'm from a very corporate environment, also financial services back in my employed days, and yeah, I would say I went through sort of a similar thing, I think, with how you think you need to put yourself across, how a business or a brand should be represented, because you kind of have that tunnel vision, don't you, of how like big financial organisations do it, and you try and do that too, but it just doesn't fit small business. And even like straight off, I came up with I'd say I wanted to be a limited company because I thought that would give me more prestige, and I came up with my own sort of branding and website and everything, without actually stopping to thinking about who my customer was and what they wanted from me. It was all corporate jargon, and because that's what I knew and that was how I spoke the language. But it was not the language of the little solo entrepreneur that needed my help with their strategy. I think we forget as well how many people haven't worked in those corporate environments, or in, you know, especially in financial services, everything's an acronym, isn't it? And I think that's another thing that we do. We speak to people in a way that we think is the norm because you're just so embedded in it, and then you realise, don't you, that, oh, wait a minute, nobody else talks like this.
And you're right about acronyms, because even things like in the strategy world, I'll talk about SWOTs and pests and stuff like that, and I just assume people know what they are and they use them day in, day out, and they go, no, and I'm like, what do you mean no? You're running a business, surely you've done a SWOT and a pest. But so it took me a while to appreciate customers are on a very different page to me, and I needed to be on their page, not drag them into my page.
Was there something that made you realise that? Was there like a moment, or was it a slow realisation?
A bit of a slow realisation, a bit of a moment. I can't remember what that moment was. It might have been you, to be honest. Yes, you were doing some sort of thing. I was like a guinea pig for you for part of something you were doing about copy or branding or clients.
Oh, yes.
And it was going through that process.
Was this when we were doing the like copy coaching, the content coaching stuff?
Yes. And it was going through that with you that made me realise this is all wrong. This is all wrong. It's too corporate, it's too jargon. And then at that point I set up a second website, which if I'd done all the proper thinking and research in the first place, I wouldn't have gone through the cost of 2 websites. So, yes.
That's really interesting. So your approach then, I guess you kind of took a big business approach to running a small business.
Yes.
In some ways.
I took a big business approach to what I thought in terms of prestige and kudos and reputation. But on the other hand, it was very difficult coming out the corporate world where everybody does stuff for you. Right, so somebody checks your copy, somebody checks this, there's a legal department, there's a compliance department, to suddenly, oh my God, you're every department and you're wearing every hat, and that took a lot of time to get my head around.
Yes,
that was the biggest thing I think about, not having that support network around you.
I think for all of us, really, like, whatever job you've done, if you've been employed, you're often employed to do a specific thing, aren't you? And that's the thing that you do day in, day out. Switching hats is so difficult. I find it so hard. Even now, like years down the line, I find it really hard to do, I don't know, sit with your marketing hat on and then switch to your ops hat. Like, I still struggle with that now. And even though it's a limited company as well, that I've got to wear so I'm an employee of that company. So how much am I going to pay myself? But I'm also a director of that company. Right, how much am I going to pay myself? And you're like that constantly, aren't you? Yeah. And again, that took a long time to settle, and it kind of feels like it's just the norm. Yes.
But at first I was making a lot of mistakes because I did not have that support network around me.
So tell us a little bit then about some of the mistakes that you think you've made on the way.
Oh, there was a very, very costly mistake.
Oh dear.
And again, complete naivety. So I thought, I know I need a newsletter. I'm going to have a database of people and send them this monthly newsletter. Really interesting articles and posing strategic questions for people to think about. So that was my great idea. Started doing the newsletters, putting them on my website, posting them out to people by email, thought nothing of it. And then about 6 months later, got this, I can't remember if it was a letter or an email, it might have been a letter from some French press company fining me something like £1,000 for using an image. I just got on Google and thought that's, right click, copy, paste.
Yeah.
And I know it says on Google copyright, but it's never even crossed my mind before that is actually a thing. So put this image in my newsletter, and then they came and said, well, you've used our image without asking us, blah, blah, blah. And I was Googling it and I was like, oh God, yeah, this does happen to people. So I managed to negotiate the fine down to 50% by putting my hands up. But at that point, I just wanted to cry. I thought, I can't do this. What am I doing? This is just... I hadn't even made any money, I think, by that point. And I was paying out fines to this big corporate somebody for innocently using a picture. It wasn't to make gains from it. It was. I just thought, well, that's a really good article. And anyway, so I did it. And then about 3 months later, they got me again. But by that point, I'd taken down all the newsletters. It was all gone. But they must have some way of scrolling back in time, or it must still be sitting there somewhere. Then they got me again for a second image I'd used very early on. And I'm like, you've already got me once, I've paid you once. So I think the next time they reduced the fee a bit more. But so 2 fines in my first year of business for innocently copying a picture off Google.
And was it the same picture that you'd used twice? Or was it two different images
pictures,
that happened to be
2 different
theirs?
images. Yeah. So now that is the one thing that I'm all over. It's like, yes.
It's wild, isn't it? Like you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I say it was completely naive, completely innocent. But yeah, that was my biggest, costliest mistake.
How do you think that impacted you then at that stage in
I
your
wanted
business?
to give up. I wanted to give up. I thought, this is too hard. I can't do this. I remember crying. I didn't tell my husband either. I felt so ashamed and stupid that I did that. I paid it out my own money because there was no money in the business. I just had to, I didn't tell anyone. Until now. Yeah.
So what did you do next?
Next, in terms of just sort of shook myself up and
it's happened.
Learned my lesson there. So now I use things like Canva and stuff where it's all you can you pay so it's now
it's on your radar now. So
it's on my radar now. I would never ever do that again. And I'm also conscious about if people are doing stuff for me. Like on my website, I'm like, are we okay to use that image? And I'm really all over it now. Stop doing the newsletter. But it did take a while for me to get over that.
What did you do to pick yourself back up emotionally, I guess? Because running a business, I know this, you do get into those places where stuff happens and you think, oh, why am I doing this? Yeah.
I can't remember, to be honest. I think probably business picked up and I started to get work and I started to enjoy what I was doing, because it was probably just a bit of natural evolution. And I kind of wish, going back as well, that I just owned up and spoke about it to people rather than sort of being ashamed of it and going, oh God, I've done this and that makes me a really bad business person. And
did you feel like you were the only person that's ever done it?
Yeah, absolutely. Until you Google it and then you realise there's so many people being caught out by that. Yeah. And people are saying there's no getting out of it. You've just got to pay the fee
and move on.
Yeah. I mean, at one point I was like, I'm going to get myself a lawyer and I'm going to challenge this. And I was like, Brenda, it's like if you get a parking fine, just pay the fine, own up, pay the fine, and don't park there again.
I got one this morning, actually.
Oh no, Gemma, you didn't.
I did. I got one through the post this morning. I was parked in I'm totally off piece, aren't we? But no, I'd parked in a service station to come on your peer group call, actually, now I think about Gemma. It. That's what I was doing in the service station. Yeah, I was driving on my way back from Newcastle. I was stopped at services. I didn't read the sign thing properly, and I thought
Yeah.
it said 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I had stayed like exactly. If you look at the times, I had stayed exactly 3 hours. It
Yeah.
was like 8:07 until 11:07, and I was like, "Oh, this is fine." And yeah, then the fine came through. It was 2 hours, not 3. So yeah, strangely enough,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
And
so you'll never do that again,
I'll
will
never
you?
do that again. I will now know that I
And
need
you'll
to
double read this. You'll read the sign.
100%, fail fast, and I did.
Yeah.
Yes, that was annoying, but you're right. There are times when stuff happens, and you just have to take it on the chin, don't you? Because the time and energy that you put into contesting stuff like that,
Yeah.
it's not always worth it, is it?
Yeah.
And it keeps you in that negative place as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We had a similar experience in So Contented with a client who, they'd not paid their invoice. They were arguing about their invoices. They were saying, the stuff that they were saying, they just made up all kinds of stuff. It was ridiculous. And it was a lot. Like it was about £7,000 or £8,000 that they owed us. And we tried to chase it. We got somebody, like a debt collector to try and chase it. And we just got absolutely nowhere with it. The business is still trading. They kept saying to us, we don't have the money, we're going to shut the business down. And the debt collector was like, look, they probably will just shut it down and start up again if you try and take them to court. So there's probably no point.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're still there. And every time I see like something pops up in my newsfeed from them, I'm like, But the airtime that it got at the time, chasing it, talking about it, being cross about it, ended up just not being worth it.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. It's the principle sometimes though, isn't it? But yeah, that was a tough lesson, because the lesson we learned there was Google your clients. Had we Googled them, we would have known not to work with them.
Ah, right, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do your research.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were setting up a mental health app, and the guy had been fined for setting up a clinic, essentially, and pretending to be a doctor when he wasn't.
Hi everyone, I'm Shanice from Wizzy Workspace. I just wanted to pop onto the podcast to let you know a little bit about what we do. We've got service offices, co-working spaces, meeting rooms and event spaces all ready for you to work from, feel inspired and motivate the team. With locations across Leeds City Centre, Sheffield, Glasgow, Newcastle, Harrogate, Bradford and Nottingham, we've got plenty of spaces for you to join. Please head to wizzyworkspace.com to check us out. Back to the podcast.
So if we'd known that, we obviously never would have worked with them. But yeah.
And I guess that's something we could learn from our corporate days, is in the corporate world you would do your due diligence.
100%.
But suddenly as a small business owner, I mean, I was certainly like this. It's like, that's business. It's money. It's revenue. It's income. I'll take it. Yeah. Didn't do any research or due diligence. And again, I've probably been bitten a couple of times by, you get that gut feeling of, do I want to do this? But it's money and I need the money, so I'm going to take it on. And then you'd wake up and I'm like, I don't want to be doing this. And this voice goes, well, why are you doing it, Brenda? Because it's money, but you don't want to do it. And it's just, this internal dialogue of, and again, I think it takes a while to realise who you want to work with and have the strength to say no.
Definitely.
To turn stuff down.
Definitely. I don't think that voice necessarily comes straight away either, does it?
No. And you always need to go through I'm not calling them bad clients, but you need to go through that.
Yes. They're just
to
not the right fit.
learn that it's not the right fit for you. And therefore you then look out for the signals next time, and those red flags are more obvious. Yeah.
I feel you there, yeah. You do get the red flags, don't you? So, early business journey, you've gone you sort of touched on it earlier about the things that you did, the very kind of corporate vibe that you brought into your business. Tell me a little bit more about that and the points at which you realised. I know we talked about the copy specific on the website, but I thought that was a really interesting evolution. So tell me a little bit more about how all of that kind of came and fitted together and became what it is now and what it is today.
Yeah, so obviously there was this it's all very corporate and you're not attracting the right clients. So I need to actually think about what my brand and my proposition and my business is. So then brought in experts at that stage, which again, first off, I just did it all off my head. So I actually engaged a brand expert Fliss Lee, and worked with Fliss and yourself, I think, a bit on the copy to actually understand who is my customer, what are their needs and problems, what is it they're buying from me and why do they need me. So really turned it around to the customer and not about what I was offering, but about what they need. And you know what, this is what I do day in, day out to my clients, but when you're trying to do it for yourself, so difficult. And then so completely rebranded, set up a second brand website that's just Brenda Etchells, because at the end of the day, it's me, I am the business, I'm what's in front of the clients, it's me, it's my expertise. New colours, new photos, new copy, new services, really focused about what I do. And it's probably just, I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but then it just took off. And I think it's because I was comfortable with who I was and what I was doing. Therefore that came over and what I was trying to say, rather than maybe trying to be something grander than what I actually was.
You had that clarity, you had that alignment with where things you wanted to take them and who you wanted to work with. And I think you can feel that in a business, and in somebody running a business, I think there's kind of a moment when it clicks. Do you think you would have been able to get there without having done it the way you did it in the first place?
I don't know. I'm sitting wondering if COVID hadn't happened, whether I'd still be sitting here saying I ran a strategy consultancy business.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, because that's what I thought I wanted to do. I wanted to facilitate strategic discussion and write strategy documents and plans, because that was what I knew. And it was only because of COVID I had to shift. So I don't know now that you're asking that, whether without COVID I'd be sitting here now saying I'm a business mentor.
Isn't it funny what things, I guess, send you down a different path?
Yeah. Yeah. I might have got there maybe later on. I think I just spent a good few years trying to be a successful strategy consultant.
Okay.
Who knows? Who knows? But definitely, I mean, I've always been fascinated by people.
Yeah.
So like my degree's in psychology, I've done a counselling qualification. So I don't know whether eventually I'd have got there, where it's the person-centric approach that I like. But I think I would have probably tried a bit longer.
Yeah. So we think possibly same end result, but
maybe
it would have taken you longer to get there.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, but I'm glad I've got there quicker.
Yes. So you said you have a business mentor.
Yes.
I think that's a really interesting point, actually, that you do what you do and you bring somebody else in to help you do that thing for you.
Yes.
Because you mentioned earlier, I totally agree with that. Doing things for yourself is so difficult. At what point did you think, what I need to do is invest in me and my business and get a mentor?
Yeah, I've had it from day one.
Yeah.
So he's been on the whole journey with me. Initially it was more frequent and more challenging, whereas now he's probably just more of he's like my little sounding board.
Okay.
And it's probably a bit more because there was a period where I really needed him to remind me what I was doing and why, particularly my why. He kept bringing me back to my why. Remind yourself, Brenda, why are you doing this?
Okay.
And he was very good at, and also reminding me about successes, because it's easy as a business person to think about the negatives and the failures. And he'd say, but you've worked with these clients over the year, you've done this, look how much and he would always bring me up again.
Yeah.
When I kind of wanted to just be it's all really going really bad. So I have worked with him since the start, so for 5 years now. Yeah, and I think I've said I'm not sure I'd have got through that without having that business mentor to challenge me. Definitely was my critical friend, absolutely critical friend, but support when you need it. And I guess now I've got him and I've got my supervisor, because as a professional mentor, it's important we have supervision, but the supervision is much more client focused. What can you do differently with that client? Whereas the mentoring is me.
Right. So your mentoring is at your business strategic level,
and
your supervisor is your skill, your profession, essentially.
Yeah.
Developing that specifically.
Yeah. So I guess, I mean, so the supervision's really good, where you kind of go into the session, you'll say, oh, did this with this client, not sure that was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And then you'll talk it out, and then you'll go, right, okay, so next time so there's that constant evolving of reflecting on what you've done, what you could do differently next time. Try it out. Does it work?
Yeah.
And then you kind of go through that kind of learning cycle. So even as what I would say, I'm probably always at the top of my game, you're still constantly learning.
Yeah.
And I'll still come out and think, oh, shouldn't have said that, or should have said that. And, which is good, because it's all reflection and learning.
Yeah. Do you find you overanalyze yourself?
Overanalyze.
When you have somebody that you know is, I guess, I'm not monitoring, but somebody who is there to give you lots of feedback on what you've done. Do you find that you ruminate on things that you've done?
I don't think so. I think I probably used to, but I think I've got much more chilled about it over the years.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I overanalyze. I think I'm a good reflector now, rather than overanalyze.
Yeah.
Because overanalyze almost sounds a bit too forensic, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of, oh my God, the deep bit.
Maybe be overly self-critical, I guess.
Again, I think I've got better with that. Yeah, no, definitely. Don't see it as self-critical, I see it as self-development.
Yes. Yeah. That's, I think, something that when you'd mentioned earlier around sharing the wins more and looking back at the wins, I think there is an element of that. And I have this where I often am very blinkered to the things that have gone right, because all I can see is, oh, this is not where I thought it would be now. I thought I should have done this by now. I've not done this thing that I said I would do yet. I thought I would be 2 years further on than I am. And then I look at what I've, you just forget to look immediately behind you, don't you, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's an age thing, but I'm definitely much more chilled about all that now. I'm a bit like, what will be, will be.
Yeah.
I'm just enjoying it, going along with the ride, and what will be, will be.
Maybe it's
and
getting
stopped
hounded
putting
by
those big, goals or targets or ambitions on my own head.
And so if they're not on your head, where do you put them?
They're not anywhere.
What are your goals, Brenda?
My goals are to actually, to be fair, I do have goals. My goals are to work with between 10 and 15 clients. So I want to work with maybe 10 paying clients, 4 to 5 pro bono clients, clients that I want to work with, who want to work with me, and then spend the rest of the time playing bowls or walking the dog or going to the gym.
Nice.
That's my simple life.
Yeah.
So you're right. I probably, thinking about it, I do have goals.
I love that you've brought your personal, your life goals into your business goals as well. I think when you run a business, that's not always high on the agenda, is it? You sort of set your goals for where you want the business to be.
Yeah. And it's going to be different, isn't it, for every business owner at different stages in life. And your goals will change as your business evolves and your business grows. To start off with, I was quite, and again, it's probably the corporate background, I was quite financially, I need to be making X amount of revenue, and it was all about revenue and profit and cash flow. Now I'm like, I just want to wake up and be happy with what I'm doing that day.
Love that.
Yeah, but I guess if I'd started the business 30 years ago, I'd be in a very different mindset about it. I think I'd be much more about, because it would have been my sole purpose, I think, back 30 years ago was the business.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's about business and life.
Yeah. Bit more perspective, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, perspective, that's a good word.
If you could go back in time
Oh.
and you can talk to Brenda, baby Brenda, that's about to start on the self-employment journey, what would you say to her? What would you change? What's your advice?
I would go with the flow. Don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze it. For somebody who's a strategic planner, don't overplan it. Spend the first couple of years just seeing what feels right for you, and be ready to to move. I think when you set out, it's very much, this is the path I'm on, and this is what I'm going to achieve, and this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
So I just say, just chill, enjoy it for the rest of years, go with the flow, see where you end up, stop putting pressure on yourself, stop putting targets on your head, and just see what works out. Learn what works well, learn what doesn't work well, and don't beat yourself up when you make mistakes. I would also tell Brenda to have done it much earlier.
Okay.
And not wait for the push of the redundancy.
Okay.
Because for years I wanted to do it.
Interesting.
I'd write myself business plans, I'd come up with business names. I just didn't have the guts. So I'd maybe tell younger Brenda, look, just go for it. You've only got one shot at life. Have the guts and do what you want to do.
Do you think, though, it would have been as successful as it is if you had done it before that time?
I'd like to say yes. I'd like to say yes. What beast it would have been, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think I've got the ingredients to make a success of whatever it is I set out to do.
You could have built yourself your huge consultancy and hated it.
Exactly.
Giving yourself another job, as I've heard some people talk about running a business in that way.
Yeah.
That they left a job and essentially just gave themselves another one.
Yeah.
With what they built.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I think it is just that, just chill a bit more, enjoy it. And maybe learn to switch off as well, because I have to admit, I'm still bad at checking. Just check my work emails and LinkedIn. So I've not quite got the switching off from it right yet, that balance of, when you work for yourself, it's tempting just to, there's always a bit of your brain that's still on the business. So I need to get better at that.
Yeah, I think that's probably a common theme, isn't it? For when you love it and you know it's your baby, it does. Yeah. It does just drift into your mind when you hope it's not going to.
Yeah, I'm good at not responding to emails. I'll check and I'll go, I've got an email from so-and-so. Then I go, I'll respond. No, I'll respond tomorrow morning. And then I go, well, what if they think I'm rude because I'm not responding? No, if you respond to them at 9 o'clock at night, they'll think that's the norm. So but I'm still having that internal dialogue with myself. I'll respond. No, I won't. Yeah.
Yes. I can relate to that, yeah, for sure.
It's like, Gemma's sending her an email at 8 o'clock at night. She'll think I'm really rude if I don't respond.
Just to be clear, I don't, FYI. Whatever weird time I email you, please don't think I'm expecting a response. Yeah. I think that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing. You think, they've emailed at a random time, they must be working. Maybe I'll email them back because they're sort of expecting me to be working. Yeah. But I don't think any of us really do.
No, and I think that goes back as well to almost people pleasing and wanting to over, what's the word, where you over deliver because you want your clients to be happy and like what you're doing. But then the more you over deliver, the more they expect that's the norm. And then why am I over delivering? Why do I need do you know what I mean? It's like that. Because I want them to be happy and pleased, but
but it wasn't what they expected in the first place. So.
No, and they go, great, and I'll offer to do things that I'm thinking, why am I offering to do that without payment? Because I want them to like me. Yeah. So it's remembering it's not that wanting to be liked. It's not. It's I am me as a person is different to me, the business. And it's sometimes remembering that as well, that if somebody doesn't like something you've done, it's not personal to you. It's personal to you as a business person.
Yeah.
Gone quite deep there.
Yeah, but so true. So true. I think it is, business does feel personal. I think that's what makes it hard. Yeah. Love that. Yeah. Brenda, thank you.
No worries.
If people want to find you, get in touch, where are you? How can they do that?
Okay. Normally on LinkedIn. That's the only social media I do. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Brenda Etchells, or you can go to my website, which is really easy to remember. It's brendaetchells.co.uk. My second website, as we've discussed.
Website mark too.
Yes.
Feedback on a postcard.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Brenda.
Thanks,
I really
Gemma.
loved that chat, and I will chat to you soon.
Cool. See you soon.
I hope you got loads of the good stuff from listening to that conversation. Running a business can be really tough and some of the lessons can be really hard learned. so important as business owners that we have spaces and communities to be open with how things are really going and get the support that you need from people who really get it, and where you can give back and share those lessons too. That's why I couldn't possibly let you go without mentioning the Northern Affinity. It's a business community where we do just that. So please make sure you check us out on LinkedIn by searching the Northern Affinity. Head to our website at thenorthernaffinity.co.uk, or of course you can connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Jen Edwards. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Chalk It Up.